It's recording. Okay, guys. Today's episode, we are joined by GB Juniors offensive coordinator and good friend of mine, Andrew Morgan, and he's going to talk about the topic of thinking condensed. I'm curious of his abilities, so without further ado, as normal, Coach, I'm going to let you take away from here, and I'll chirp in if needed. But as far as I'm concerned, it's over to you, fella.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Coach. My name's Andrew Morgan. I'm currently the Great Britain Lions junior offensive coordinator, and that's offensive coordinator for both the under-19s and the under-17s program that we've got. And just a little introduction to me. I really started my coaching in around about 2014 when I sent 2 emails out. I sent an email to the Great Britain Lions head coach, Damien Anderson, the junior head coach. I sent one to Wayne Hill, the Birmingham Lions head coach, and said, can I come down and just be involved, hold cones, and learn football? And that's pretty much where my coaching started. So I was an offensive GA for the Great Britain Junior Lions in 2014 for a year. I've spent 6 seasons with the Birmingham Lions, starting as an assistant receivers coach, moving across to being the running backs coach, and then spending 3.5 seasons as the offensive coordinator. In that time, I've been fortunate enough to spend 2 weeks as a coaching intern in the States at the University of Laverne with Rich Wurzel. And I've also been able to develop on the Great Britain senior staff as well, first as an offensive GA, then working as an assistant wide receivers coach for Tony Athersmith, and then finally at the European Championships in 2018, working as the QB's coach when we went across to Helsinki there, which was a lot of fun. Now, presently, I do quite a few different things. So currently, I say currently, we're not really coaching at the moment, but currently I'm the linebackers and special teams coach at the Shropshire Evolution. That's where I started playing. Not particularly well, but that's where I kind of started my football journey. I'm also a BAFCA coach educator. So I run level 1 and level 2 courses for BAFCA around the country. And as Coach alluded to there, I'm the GB Juniors offensive coordinator, and I took up that post in the summer of last year, and have held it to this day. So what I wanted to do was kind of talk through the journey that I went on from taking on the role of, you're the offensive coordinator, now you've got to put together a playbook, we need to come up with a scheme, we need to have something to run with, and that process and that kind of thing took me a good couple of months to explore, get my head around, think about different things. And what really, really helped, so the first point that I'll talk about is the fact that I did spend a season as a defensive coach, working with defensive players, working on game plans, working on adjustments in games. So I'm going to talk about how that kind of shaped my mindset. Then I'm going to talk about how our Great Britain playbook came together and what went into it. And then I'm going to touch on this thinking condensed aspect. It's something that I didn't really have much knowledge of before this opportunity. I spent a season of junior football playing in the single wing for Coach Damon Kirby and Ben Herod in Bristol, and it was just something that I did. I didn't really understand it. Obviously, single wing, everybody's really, really close to the centre and the ball, and it's just 4 yards and a cloud of dust kind of thing. But after that, I've been in spread air raid offences ever since, with Dave Reed at Shropshire, with Paul Cooper at Birmingham. When I took over as offensive coordinator, I kind of continued the air raid whilst adding little different bits in as well. So thinking about this in a different way was a really good exercise for me. So I'll talk about what it means for defense in terms of gaps and the simplicity that it gives my players and the young adults that we get in terms of what I'm asking the quarterbacks, running backs, and line to do in particular. Then I'm just going to touch on a few of the calling cards that I want the GB Junior offense to be known as. It's a bit unfortunate because the second bank holiday in May just gone, we were supposed to be in Belgium playing a friendly game against the Belgian under-19s, and it would have been really, really nice to have used that as a as a showcase for what we were trying to do. But obviously, things as they are, that was not going to happen. So we're hoping that that gets rescheduled for next year when everything gets back up and running. And then finally, I've put together some screenshots and tape just to kind of underpin what we have been looking for and what we've kind of been able to see in the two camps that I've been able to be a part of since taking over as the offensive coordinator. So that's going to be the basis of what we're doing. Now, first off, shifting perspective. I have spent different time around the Midlands coaching. I've been in Sandwell, I've been in Tamworth for a season as well. And when I came back to Shropshire, I wanted to do something different. I'd been an offensive coach or an offensive player the entire time that I'd been involved in American football. And I felt that for my own benefit and my own education, it would be more beneficial to go outside of my comfort zone, go around to the other side of the ball and see how things were done there and see what I could bring to the table there. So I was working with Alistair Jarvis, who was the Shropshire Revolution defensive coordinator. He also was the defensive coordinator at the Birmingham Lions in 2016 when they won the national championship under Wayne Hill. So we've got a really good working relationship there. And we worked really, really closely across the board on different things. And I think there are three things for me that I realized that are troubling for a defensive coordinator when you come to plan a game. The first is packaged concepts. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have a team that runs the jet. Okay, so a slot receiver runs the jet, trying to run outside the hashes to the numbers and the sideline. When you can package a number of different plays off that, it becomes problematic for a defense because you may have the jet sweep coming across, slot receivers running a seam, so there's a second play that's coming off it. You might have the jet receiver coming across and they fake the jet, they throw the backside slant to the receiver. Now there's a third play. Fake the jet, now the QB and the running back are going to run QB lead on the outside. There's 4 plays. Fake the jet, and now the running back's going to run power or counter back with the offensive line pulling. Now there's 5 plays. Your defense has to be prepared and gap sound and responsibility sound in terms of all 5 of those things. So if you can package something together, that's going to be a real problem for a defense. The second thing that we had problems with or would have to think about a lot is moving gaps. So for example, teams that run rip and run stretch, where the 5 offensive linemen on the snap of the ball are pretty much outside the hash running stretch when the running back hits his mesh. That creates a number of different problems for a defense. Even a jet sweep will do the same thing. It makes defenses move and it makes them have to be really detailed and knowledgeable about what their gap is and how they're going to control it. The third one is presenting extra gaps. Now, my second last bullet point kind of alludes to this. We were in a position last year where if we knew we were playing against a spread team, our preparation and our scout was probably a lot less than when we were playing teams who were running the wing, or they had a tight end, or they'd play 21 personnel, or they'd play 1 tight end, 2 backs, or maybe they had 3 backs. If we were coming up against a team that was 4 wide with a running back, that was day 1 defensive install. We would run our base stuff. We would be able to run blitzes. We could run our coverages behind. We kind of knew what the pass concepts were because spread pass concepts have been around in this country pretty much ever since Hal Mummy came across to do his talk on the air raid. It's ingrained in us. We know there's going to be slant and wheel, double verts, levels, bench. We know these kinds of things. So if we saw a team that presented extra gaps with tight ends, wings, running backs, that would cause us a bit more work in terms of the scouting, what our defensive formations were going to look like. And that's the thing that I've kind of come away from is like spread as a scheme and a system as it has its merits. It's used around the world for a reason, but it's not a schematic problem. It is a player problem. Like if you've got a 6'4" quarterback who can fling the ball, you've got 5 offensive linemen who like have to turn sideways to walk through a door. You've got 4 receivers who can run a 4.5 and they've got great burst and speed. Spread is a problem. If you don't have those aspects, it's a struggle to run that form of offense. So extra gaps and numerical advantages are things that defenses stay up at night worrying about and really, really struggle with. So that's what I took away from that. Now, something that I did on the sideline was obviously our defensive coordinator was on the field playing. So we had a coach who would be the play caller, and my job was to stand next to him. And my job was to think about substitutions that were coming onto the field, formations that were presenting in play by play, and then what was the down and distance? What was the tendency for a team? And what we would do is we would link that up to our film, and we'd look at like the last 3 games of a team and say, right, third and medium to third and long, if they come out in 4 or 5 wide receivers, they can run one of 3 or 4 plays. So if we know it's one of these 3 or 4, we can call this coverage and this blitz or whatever. So there are giveaways that an offense will give you from how they're lined up, who's on the field, and what the down and distance is. And this allowed us to cheat a little bit. And we would call onto the field. It's going to be the verts with the speed out. They're going to run the off tackle counter. If you see the jet, it's going to be this. We would shout that onto the field, and sometimes, as Coach Butler will hopefully agree with me here, sometimes we got it right, because it's like playing poker against someone and they're holding their cards up to you. You know what's going to happen before it happens. So as an offensive coordinator, taking that away, it meant that I wanted to try and create a numerical advantage. I wanted to try and put together package concepts where there are 2 or 3 plays in one. And I wanted to try and create extra gaps and move the gaps to make it problematic for a defense. That was kind of where I came from when I spent a summer on the defensive side of the ball. Now, added into that was the spec that Coach Neil McMaster gave me when I took over the role of, right, congratulations, you're now the offensive coordinator. Here are the limitations that you're going to have. So first off, as hopefully most of you know who are going to be watching this, junior football isn't played in this country at 11-a-side, with the exception of the Bristol Pride down, Filton Pride down in Bristol and the newly formed NFL Academy. Nobody plays 11-man football under the age of 18 in this country. It's either 5-man, 7-man, or it's 9-man football. Different versions depending on the age range and the level of play of the team. Now, this causes a problem because we don't develop true offensive linemen. If you're playing 5-man, you've literally just got the center, and the center's allowed to catch the ball after he snapped it. So he's thinking about being a receiver just as much as being a blocker. If you're playing 7-man, then you're going to see maybe 1 guard, maybe 2 guards either side. So you're not going to see much gap stuff. You're not going to see much pass pro or pass sets in a traditional sense. And if you're playing 9-man, exactly the same. You might get a team that plays condensed and decides to run 4 or 5 O-linemen. But because you're playing the full 53-yard field, you're probably going to see 3 or 4 wide spread and 3 offensive linemen. So we don't have much true offensive line play at the lower ages of the sport. Now, we as a staff, we went to the National Finals Day in Stafford in the summer, and I watched a finals game being played, and I was scouting a quarterback, and basically this was the play. Quarterback takes a snap, chucks it to a receiver who's lined up 5 yards behind him, and the receiver puts the ball up as if he's pretending to pass. He waits 3 seconds, finds a gap and runs, because the kid's like the quickest dude on the field. So I watched that play happen 5 times, and they scored a touchdown. Coach goes crazy on the sideline. Yeah, we've scored. We're going to go back out and we're going to do that again. I'm standing on the sideline from a national program perspective and going, right, so that quarterback has just thrown the ball behind him. That receiver isn't really, he's not running any routes. He's not really doing anything running backy, if that's even a word. He's just running away from people. It's like playing British Bulldog on the playground. That's essentially what he's doing against guys who are slower than him. So you have a situation sometimes where you've got individuals running plays as opposed to teams teaching football to players. So we want to run a trap. We want to run counter. We want to bench concepts for the receivers. We want to run a mesh concept as a full field. We've got to teach them what these mean, and we've got to teach them the how, the why, because they might not be getting that kind of football knowledge at their team. So we've got to upskill them dramatically. However, saying all of that, we do get some positives. As I mentioned with that particular player in that particular team, we get an abundance of skilled position talent. We have guys who can run. We have guys who are fast. We have guys that are strong. We've got receivers and running backs with great size. We have a number of raw but talented quarterbacks who can fling it, but they need to develop. There's a lad on the under 17 program, comes from Gateshead. He's 6'4". He's got a beard better than me. When I see him again at the next camp, I'm not going to be too surprised if he hasn't grown another 3 inches. He is colossal, and he's a great talent we're really excited about. So there are raw players. And on the flip side of that, with the O-line, we've got guys who are coming with great size and strength, but they need to be developed and they need to be honed and be taught a lot of the fundamental skills. So that's where we kind of came from with our scheme. We've got what I learned as a defensive coach, the limitations that we had, and my experience and knowledge of offensive football. So what I came up with was basically a 21 personnel base. Okay. And what I mean by that is, 12 personnel, my bad. 12 personnel. So 1 tight end, 2 running backs. That is where we run the majority of our offense. Okay. We'll have 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a tight end. Now, this particular formation is called 2 right stack. We can flip it to the other side and run it as 2 left stack. So there's 2 formations technically. And we can run this as a field formation, a boundary formation, a center formation. It doesn't really matter. We can play around with it however we want. 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end. Apologies for that. Now, what this does, because it's unorthodox, because it gives a numerical advantage, and because it creates more gaps, it gives me the chance to see what the defense is going to do to line up to it. So the first thing I need to think about is it going to be a heavy box? So we look at this dark green square here, rectangle there. Am I going to get a 6-man box, a 7, or an 8-man box? That's the first thing from a game planning perspective that I want to look at. If they want to play too high, well, that means they're going to take somebody out of the box straight away. And in my head, I can think run. If they play 1 high, then I can start to think about other things. What this also does, if we look at this right-hand lighter shaded rectangle, it tells me the clear coverage on the 2 receiver side. They're only going to play a half-field coverage. So I'm either going to get cover 1, cover 3. I might get some kind of cover 2 with the safety dropping, but it's going to be very simple in terms of what I see there. And then my third constraint is this left-hand rectangle. What do they want to do with the tight end and this guy with the F here, who we call the flex? What are they going to do to the tight end and the flex? Are they going to keep the corner out here? Are they going to play that second safety and roll him over the top? Are they going to move and play 2 corners to the receiver side? Whatever they do in these 3 parts of the field, I can create an advantage from that. So they could play an 8-man box with an overhang of corner and play man, and I've got a series of plays that I'll run until they change. If they play a light box and decide they want to defend the edge and they want to play 3 over 2 on the receiver side, I'm going to run the ball as much as I want to, because I've got numbers advantage. In terms of the offensive line, we make it easy for them. So we have a lot of quick game passes, and we as a minimum will have 6-man protection. So we will always have at least 6 guys protecting the quarterback. In some of them, and particularly in this formation, we will have 8-man protection. And I will only send out the 2 receivers on a concept. 8 men defending the quarterback on quick game with quick receivers running their routes, putting them in position to do well and to succeed. And for me, this is how you think about being condensed. Where is the numerical advantage for the play? What I'll show you in a minute is some of the film that I've got of what our own defense have done in 2 different camps and how we've attacked it in different ways. So is the box where I'm going to take my shots? Is it the receivers that I'm going to work with? Is it the tight end instead? So I know where I'm going to pick on that defense, and that's where thinking condensed can give you those answers essentially.
Coach?
Now, oh yes, go on, coach.
Just a personal question, really. Your flex guy, would that body type be more of a running back body type, a receiver body type, or would you mix it up depending on where you are? Is it premeditated what you're going to do with a flex guy? I like the idea of the flex guy. I know I use that kind of thing myself, but I like the idea of a guy that can do a multitude of things. So is it somebody who would be a better blocker, or is it a guy with hands, or what's your thought process on that F guy, dude?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a question that we went round in circles with the running backs and the receivers coaches at the start of the process as well, of what are we asking that guy to do? So that guy's going to run a quick jet sweep. He's going to get out into the flat and run pass patterns. He's always going to have help in terms of his angles or a double team at the point of attack for pass protection as well. So it can be your quotation mark H-back essentially. Correct. Someone who can do a little bit of both. So if we've got 2 really good slots, one can play at slot, one can play at flex. If we've got running backs who can do everything as well, that's where we put them. So we have that flexibility in terms of what we asking them to do, because the thing that we need to think about, let's say we were going to Belgium, we can only take 45 kids. So I get 23, 22, 23, depends how much I cry about it, players that I'll be able to get. 2 of them are going to be QBs, 3 of them are going to be tight ends, 8 of them are going to be offensive linemen, 4 of them are going to be running backs. So you can see where the numbers get compressed. So ideally, if you've got a flex you can play slot, that's tremendous, in answer to your question there.
Okay.
So this is what the scheme looks like. We were conscious of the prior knowledge of our players. We were conscious of the amount of contact time that we had. So I was hiring in the summer. We had our first camp in December, which unfortunately I missed because I had a really bad case of the flu. So I was bedridden that weekend, which wasn't ideal. We had a January camp and we had a February camp. So we had 3 contact days with the players. So keeping it simple was an absolute must. They needed to be able to pick up the playbook and pretty much understand, right, I've got 2 formations, we've got 3 runs, we've got 4 or 5 passes going on. It needed to be simple for them in that way. So our plays for the running backs, we have 3 plays that are basically the same for the offensive line. So our running back, who we call the buck, he runs stretch. Our flex, who's that little sniffer back that we talked about, he runs jet sweep stretch. And our slot runs jet sweep as well. So 3 of the offensive line have 3 plays which are exactly the same for them. So they've got to learn one blocking scheme. And we actually use an acronym for them to make it simple. So we use GOOD as our acronym as terminology. So GOOD means what we do. So let me for example, just get up my huddle really quickly and I'll just show you what I mean by that. So GOOD stands for gap, on, over, most dangerous. Okay. So let's say, for example, we were going to run, let me just find a play where they're lined up correctly. There we go. So let's say we're going to run a buck stretch this way. Okay. Our offensive line will just basically, instead of having to worry about, right, is it a 4 front, 3 front? Are they playing double 2 eyes? Are they slanting? Are they doing this, doing that? They basically have a mental checklist in their head. So let's look at this right tackle here. Is there a man in my gap? What I mean by that is to the side of which the play is going is the gap. Yep, that's my guy. Is there a guy for the left guard's gap? Nope, nobody in the gap. On top of him, as in like a heads up D line. Is there a guy on top of him? Nope. Is there a guy over him? Yeah, there is. There's a linebacker there. So he'll take his steps and he will meet that linebacker there. Center. Is there a man in the gap? Nope. Is there a man on him? Yep, there we go. So we've got our block. Same here. Gap on. There's a guy in the gap there. Guy in the gap there. No one in the gap. There's a guy on there. We can use the block, the simple yes/no, to make ourselves correct in terms of the blocking scheme. So that's really effective for us. In terms of passes, we run full slide protection. We've got 6, 7, or 8 people protecting. So we will just run a full slide. All the line pick up a guy in their gap going one way, and we will seal off the backside either with a double team or with an edge block being run across the formation to give the running back leverage and a bit of impact. So 3 plays are the same for the O-line. We've got one blocking scheme there. So straight away, I'm taking guys who haven't played much football and I'm giving them something that's quite simple to do. For the running backs, they have 3 clear landmarks for their runs. If they're running trap, which I'm going to show you a bit of tape of in a minute, they're going to run inside the guard. If we're running counter, you are following the guard that pulls around up into the gap because we run GT counter. If we're running stretch, you are going to aim at the play side tackle and you're going to make a decision based on his block. If he takes his guy outside, you cut up. If he logs his guy and turns him inside, you go around him. And the way that we work our formations, which I'll show you, we're kind of expecting the running back to go all the way round to the space because you're going to get a lot of space. With the receivers, we have 6 half-field concepts for them and 2 full-field concepts. So there are 8 plays in total. We will never run all 8 of those plays at the same time. We'll split them into 3 different installs, and those are the only plays we'll run for that camp. So that makes it easier for them to remember. And if I'm honest, when we had our January camp in Bristol, we had the under-19s day on the Saturday, and we had the under-17s day on the Sunday. The under-17s players knew all of their install. They knew all of the under-19 players install, which we hadn't got to yet, and were actually begging me to do the under-19s install on their day because they were like, hey, coach, we learned it. We know it. We're good. So you give them it simple, and then you can build on that. Also, we do not ask our receivers to block in the run game unless it's a jet sweep, because receiver blocking is inconsistent. You guys will know, Coach Billett, you'll know. You flip a coin, is your slot receiver going to block the nickel? Is your outside receiver going to block the cornerback? Probably not. So we tell them just to run. We tell them to run off, and they get bonus points if they make the defender think that they're running a route. That's literally it. With the jet sweep, the way that we teach the blocking, it's slow. It's what we call ooze blocking at GB students. And the idea behind it is I need you to hold a block for half a second. Hold that block for half a second instead of 3 or 4. Let the guy get around you, and then we're off to the races. So across the board for O-line, running backs, and receivers, we're trying to keep it as simple as we can. Same with the QBs. I haven't written this down, actually, but with the quarterbacks, all of their reads are 5 words or less, because I want it to be right. We're running shout at slant and out. Okay, great. I'm looking at the slot defender. Slot defender goes this way, I throw here. Slot defender goes that way, I throw to the other guy. He's my read. Whatever he does, I know what I'm doing. And we've got that for every single play, even the full field concepts. We've got our mesh play, which is peak of the vertical route. It's not there, 1 to 2. All of our reads are really simple like that, so we can just fire them off parrot fashion in that respect. And then there's a lot of writing here in terms of what our offense is, but I like to call us a tech offense. We work on our technique, our basic fundamental technique of what we need them to do. We emphasize the effort, and then we work on the constraints. What I said on the first slide in terms of being able to package plays is what I call constraints. So you have one play that exposes defense, you've got something that goes in behind them. So things that I've highlighted: do your job. It's a common phrase there. Do your job well is probably the thing that you need to add and be focused on. You just do that one thing that you need to do across the board. 11 guys do it, and we get a successful play. What we ask for at both under 17 and under 19 is the O-line to hustle. We really want them from snap to whistle not to be stunned around. If there's a pass play that goes downfield, we chase it. If there's a run play that goes, we chase it. We never want to be walking around. Same with receivers. If they see a run being made, we want them to chase and set up a downfield block. We want a lot of energy and a lot of movement on the field. And finally, our constraints. As I go into the tape and just touch on a couple of things, everything that we put together from the formation to the plays is built for something else. So the formation that I showed you a few slides ago, I have built that formation because I want to run this play, and that play. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to run something else over the top of it instead. Yeah. And that's what we need guys to understand. It's that team effort of you might not be involved in the play, but what you're doing might set up the next play. So you need to do your job and do your job well. Okay. So tail of the tape and screenshots. I want to just first point out what happens when you use 6 or 8 man protection for the quarterbacks. Okay. So what I've done is I have screenshotted 70 to 80% of all of our passes from 2 camps. The ones that I haven't screenshotted are probably ones where there were bad snaps, because in this camp in particular, it was like sideways gale force wind. It was horrible. So this first one here, if you look at my pointer, that's the quarterback throwing the ball. Look where the nearest dude is. Like, look at this. Nobody is near him. Yeah. Second one, top right. There's the quarterback there. Nobody near him. Third one, let's see if we can find the quarterback. He's just behind this right tackle here, who's incredibly holding the defensive end. But beautiful pocket. Nobody in his face in the middle. Bottom right. Look at this pocket. Look at the space the quarterback has got to take his time. He's going to throw this fade downfield. Let's go to the next one. QB's here. That's my pointer there. There's a QB. Nobody's around him. Same here. You can pick out the quarterback and he can put like 7 of his friends next to him and they can have a tea party. Like, there's no one around him. Right here. There's the quarterback. Nobody around him. Same here. Nobody around the quarterback. So I don't have to worry too much about QB evasion or having to throw with somebody in their face. This is all designed to say, let's say we went to Belgium last month and we've got a dude from Antwerp who's lived on a farm, been chucking hay bales all his life. He's 14 years old. He's 6'4". He's the size of a house and he's playing nose tackle. Am I going to be able to block him? Yeah, probably not. Is he going? He might be going D1 and playing over there and all that kind of stuff. I've got a problem. How do I get rid of that problem? Quick game, max protection, get the ball out quickly. Okay, let's go on to these last couple. There's a quarterback here. Nobody around him. QB right here, behind that right tackle. Nobody around him. Moving on to the next camp. This is where the QB is. He's got 5 yards of space between the next guy. A couple of these I'm cheating because we introduced rollout, but rollout's great as well for protection. Let's say you can't block a dude, run away from him. Run away from him and throw the ball. This is a QB throwing the ball to that guy. Nobody's around him. He's got all the space in the world to think about his footwork. He actually throws this. He should have thrown that one, but never mind. Okay, bottom left. You can't see him very well, but the QB's there where my pointer is. Nobody near him. This is rollout again. Nobody near him. There is nobody within 10 yards. Oh, 7, 8, 10 yards there of the quarterback. It's ridiculous. Same here. QB, space. You get the idea of what I'm saying here. From behind, QB, 5 yards of space. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys in protection. And I'm throwing a 2-man concept that's going to get completed. Right here, QB, 5 yards of space. QB, 3 yards of space. Actually, this running back gets ball rushed a little bit. He gets a little bit rushed, but man, there's still like 2-3 yards and the ball's already out of his hands, which is great. So that's what we're trying to do when I spoke about the pass protection and when I spoke about trying to be able to make it easy for guys. So this was the first camp that I did with everybody because of my ill health. But this is what we saw as a defense against our guys. We saw a 1, 2, 3, and there's another guy there. 4-man front. We've got a corner, 2 linebackers. I think this is the other corner, and here are my 2 safeties. Okay? So if we go back to that first slide that I was talking about with our 3 rectangles, think about where my strengths are. There's nobody out here apart from this dude in the white hat. Okay? So straight away, that's one of the boxes I can tick and say, yeah, I want to attack there. If I look at this 2 receiver side, I've got essentially what is soft man and press man. So I've got a space here that I can exploit as well if I want to. In terms of the box, that's kind of because of this going on here with the 2 safeties. This is something I can exploit as well because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 in the box. I've got 5 offensive linemen, a tight end, and I've got a flex and a running back. So I've got, and the QB if I want to run him. So I've got 9 in the box. So I can win with numbers and win with numbers in gaps, no matter how you align. Something else that I'm able to do is I'm able to figure out if you're playing a 4 front, I can tell where your strength's going to be. Because what I did when I was drawing this up, I went to defensive coordinators, was like, this is my formation. Well, how are you aligning to it? I'm like, hold on, you've got a running back, another running back, and a tight end. Well, that's my strength. So straight away, I know where my 3 tech's going to be. The strength of the formation is here. So the 3 tech has to go there. If the 3 tech goes to the other side, then they're going to be on balance in a certain way. If they decide not to play strength and play either a 3 front or a 5 front, then that means I've got more guys in the box and I can work on the receivers or I can work outside. So I can always win the numbers game with formation just by seeing how you line up. Okay. Now, this is the reason why. So this is the so this was the second camp. This is February in Liverpool. The defense did a little bit of changing, and they came out in a 3 front for this camp. So they went 3 defensive linemen. They had a walk-up linebacker, 2 linebackers. They played their corner outside. They walked their safety down to here. They played 1 high over the top, and they played cover 3 on this side. So again, I can just have a look and I can figure things out. I've got a 6-man box. I want to take advantage of that. I've got a corner playing 6 yards off the side. So if I get a slot jet sweep over here, or I run the buck stretch over here, I'm asking the corner to make a tackle. That's key. How many times in a practice session do you see the corners tackling? And then my second question to you is, how many times do you see the corners tackling well? If your corner tackles well, he plays safety. If he's a big corner, he tackles well, he plays linebacker. Sometimes corners don't tackle well, so we want to take advantage of that and see whether they're aggressive or not. But in that same ilk, I've got 5 yards of gap here, so 5 yards of cushion, so I can take advantage of it. So whatever we are thinking about in a constrained offense, condensed offense, I can find a numerical advantage and I can find a space advantage. And that's what I will come back to every single time with it. Now, we spoke about having that space on the outside. So we're going to run double hitches here. Okay. Now, at the point where the quarterback throws, I've got 2 cushions. Yeah. I've got my receivers are about to turn around. They're not the best routes in the world, but I've got a cushion here if I had a bit of a tougher throw to make, but I've got a huge cushion here, and that's where the QB goes with the ball. It's 5 easy yards. I've gone from 2nd and 6 to 3rd and 1, if you look at it. Yeah? I'm taking what they give me. I've taken 5 yards off them. Now I have my whole playbook available to me on 3rd and 1. Just taking what they give me in terms of that. And we go back to the protection. This is probably one of my screenshots. Even when the QB double pumps because he doesn't trust the route, I've got a massive pocket to be able to go dump the ball off quickly. Yeah, putting them in a position to succeed. Bubbles. We run one bubble, which is that outside smoke. Talked about how we've got to cover 3. So all we're asking this receiver to do is get to his landmark and make a decision. Is this guy the most dangerous? Or is this guy the most dangerous? I mean, this dude's 12 yards off. So chances are he's not the most dangerous. It's going to be this guy. Okay. So again, look, we've got 8-man protection on a quick screen. The ball's only going one place. So all I'm asking the quarterback to do is turn, rip, and throw. I've got the receiver who's figured out that this guy's the most dangerous. And now I've got a situation where it's one unblocked man, and I've got all of this space from a receiver to play in. Runs to the outside, picks up 5 yards, and I go from 2nd and 14 to 3rd and 9. Gives me a manageable 3rd down because I think we had a false start off the play before. So I'm taking what they give me. They haven't changed. They haven't changed it up at all. So it makes it really easy for me. We talked about how we want to have a numerical advantage. Let's look at buck stretch from our wing formation. So wing is when we split the flex and the buck. Okay, we talked about stack, where the buck comes to this side. Wing is where he goes to the other side. Okay. Now, we want to see what this outside is like and what our numerical advantage is. Because let's look at our gap blocking. Gap, no. On, no. Over, not really. So dangerous. We're going to go dangerous. Gap, yep, there's a 1 tech there. We're going to take the gap. Gap, no. On, no. Over, no. Dangerous. Yeah, it's probably the backside guy. So he's going to put a hand on the backside and work up. Same here. We're going to move up. And what we've got here is really interesting. 1, 2, 3 guys. Going to block 1, 2, 3. And there's nobody out here. And we're in the middle of the field and we can run. So if we watch the play just as they set, it becomes even more advantageous. Because I've got block here, block there, block here, block there. And realistically, this is the guy that's unblocked in this play. I've got a numerical advantage on this side. So let's see what happens. We're not the best team in the world right now, but I reckon I can make a running back do something with this hole. And most of my guys haven't really made a block. They've just stood up and got in the way. You can see the technique that we need to work on progressively as we go through our camps. But he's made a cut, and then he ends up bouncing it to the second level, and he's off to the races. It's just simple numbers. Simple numbers from simple formation. We've got the same situation here. So we did something quite cool in this camp because we had so many guys trialing. We had an offense and defense on one side here, and then we had another offense and defense here. So we would run a play this way, and then we turned around and we run a play this way. So when you've got loads and loads of guys, really, really cool way of managing your reps so people don't just stand around and get cold. So we've got the exact same play. We're running buck stretch left. Okay. So look here. We got 1 tight end, left tackle, left guard, flex. 4 guys. Okay. I got 1 defensive lineman, 2 defensive linemen, cornerback. I got nobody out here. So we're just going to run it in. Everybody's blocked up. Flex does an amazing job of logging his guy inside. Now, there is nobody there. Off he runs for many yards. It's simple. It's keeping it as simple as we can. That's the whole kind of like emphasis of it. Okay. I'm not saying we ran this play perfectly every single time, but it was pretty darn good. Now we talked about trap. So one of the parameters that I had from Coach McMaster was no double teams. Okay. No inside zone double teams on the line. And I kind of looked at him a little bit weird when he said that. And then I thought about it and was like, well, when I was at the University of Birmingham, we would run inside zone as our base run every year. But we would have to teach that for a good 5 to 6 weeks, 3 practices a week to get it right. It's actually a really hard skill to learn because you've got to be able to get 4 hands on a man. You've got to be able to identify who's behind them, scrape off to that second level, and then make that second level block. And that timing for an offensive line is hard to kind of get when you are with them once a month and you've only got 2 or 3 hours on the field. So we decided to go with trap. 2 reasons why we did that. The rules were simple. We identify the first guy either on or outside the guard. He is the trap man. We don't talk about techniques. Don't say he's a 3 technique, a 2 technique, a 4-eye, whatever. He's the first guy either on or outside the guard. And like, that's the dude we leave. Okay? So he's going to leave him. 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 Backside is going to rip, run, and earhole him. Nice and easy. Center's going to pin. We're going to go second level there. And our running back, it's real simple. Our running back knows this is the block that he's going to make. So he has to go vertical off that kick out block. So we have an inside run concept, which basically identifies one guy as the one who's going to, we need to know who he is, and one block that is pivotal to the success of the play. Boom. Space. Now, this guy's unblocked. Okay, you can see the right guard's missed his guy. But he is the only guy in this area who can make a play. So the running back just shake and bakes him. He's off to the races. Yeah. Shakes and bakes. And there we go. We've got easy yards. Easy yards on the trap. And this was probably our most successful. Oh, let's watch Coach McMaster getting really excited because we ran the trap. Excellent. Love to see it. But it's our most successful play. Here's the other offense running the exact same play. We'll watch it from the top. It looks like a cluster of bodies in the middle. But when we get down to it, the rules are simple. First guy, on or outside the guard. Okay, we're leaving him. Which means we're going to go vertical. We're going to block out here and here. We're going to get pin and pull. And we just draw it up. We rep it. It's the same thing. And that's what they know it is. Pin and pull. I mean, this is an even better job of getting everything set up. Because now, as the running back goes to the line, look at him. Like, look at him. There's nobody. We've got it all blocked up. We've got it all set the way we want it. It works a treat. Off he goes. 10 yards, easy.
Two things, Coach.
Yeah, sure, Coach.
What I do really like is that, in similar to myself, is that I'm an advocate of not making it too hard for people. So I love the fact that you don't talk about, the 9 tech and all that kind of jargon. You keep it real simple. I think that helps the younger guys or the new guys so much. When it gets too technical and too in depth, I think it scares a lot of people. And I think if you keep it real simple and just say, we're going to do this, and you're going to block this guy, I think that's fantastic. I think we get so ingrained in all the knowledge and stuff that we just get too in depth with it sometimes. And I actually really like how you should stripping it back. And I know you can speak to our guys. I'll strip it right back. I'll just say, you're blocking this guy. That's going to be it. So I love that aspect. In terms of
the thing is sorry, go on again, Coach.
Are there any rules for your running back footwork or your positioning for your running back and deflect back? Because on the different runs, every running back's had a different bit of footwork. Are you loose with it? Do you care, or does it matter?
No, ideally it should be the same. I mean, what we're watching here is Camp 1, where we had 13 running backs trialing. So it was very hard to get consistency. What we want is we want to split the guard and tackle. We want to be toes at 6, and especially with a trap, we want to kind of run a J footwork inside, because that's gonna time up. Not, that's an awful line, but that's gonna time up nicely running that J as we go there. So that's an ideal world for us.
I think we're on the same page here. Is that I would be the same as I would coach off the film. So I'll just let them run it, and I say, well, your footwork's wrong here. It needs to be this. And then when they go back, so rather than call them back and redo the footwork, you just say, well, this is wrong, and we fix it on the next time round. So yeah, I like that, Coach. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we've been off, but in the course of May, we've had all of our positional coaches doing weekly Zoom meetings with the players. So we've been able to really nail down, and we went I've been in as many of the offensive staff calls as I can. and stance, footwork, and all that kind of thing has been had. It's a shame we probably won't have a summer or autumn camp, but it's something that they really got to understand. Whereas when you're here, it just kind of, it does sum up where guys are working from. I mean, we're watching this Filton player here. You can see that he's been coached and played a lot before, obviously down with the program. So he's got a better idea of what's going on. So yeah, that is definitely a thing. The last couple that I want to show you. Oh yeah, so we were talking about the flex earlier. We've talked about how we could exploit this edge, but what about this one over here with the receivers and the tackle? Because outside of the end in the box, we've got 2 DBs. So we can run a flex stretch, which is kind of like a jet sweep. We don't run it as a motion, but it's a fast stretch, quick stretch, where he just gets the ball and he goes. And we're running the same blocking scheme for the receivers, sorry, for the offensive line even. And even if the blocking isn't great, and I think this is what I've had to bear in mind, am I going to get 100% excellent blocking every time? Probably not. Am I going to get 50% great blocking all the time? Maybe. Like I might do, but I might not. I might get a load of guys just standing up and missing their block. So my answer to that is, all I need is this dude to get somewhere around about here and get in the way. Because this dude, who's really, really quick, is going to get around the outside. So if you watch it, I don't actually I get a kick out block here. But what I also get is my running back getting 5 or 6 yards. And if he didn't make a cut, he probably could have got a little bit more and just gone downhill and tried to put his shoulder pad into that linebacker. So it's giving simple plays for the guys. We talked about, so we've looked at the buck stretch, we looked at the flex stretch. Now we're looking at the slot stretch. So again, same blocking, but now in stack we're looking at those numbers, because remember, we've got the tight end, we've got the flex, and we've got the running back who are running the blocks. I've got nobody on the outside over here, and I've got my quick receiver. I know he's quick because I put him in the slot. I'm just going to get him to run outside. And again, my blocking isn't perfect. He's been bounced out. The tight end's lost his block, but he's been able to run around the outside because he's got space. And I've got 2 guys who are about to set this play up here. And off they go. You get 4 or 5 yards and it's not a bad play, because we've gone, and this is something I love to do when I call plays. We've gone from right hash, and I'm going to run them all the way over to the left hash. And then guess what I'm going to do on the next play, coach?
Run them over to the other hash.
I'm going to run them over the other hash.
Yeah.
So I'll go 2 right wing, flex stretch right. Yeah. So I'll get everybody here, and then I'm going to run them over there. And I'm going to do it with a tempo huddle, so they don't have that much time to align, and all of a sudden I've got them going the other way. And we'll keep doing that, and we'll have that kind of tempo as well, which is really, really fun. This is a good way of showing it. This is from the second camp, but again, numbers, gap. We've got on, get on. And the thing is, there's nobody outside of these guys. So my running back has got a free block here. Watch what happens. Look, there's nobody on the outside because they've played condensed and their corner's cheated. So we can just turn up the outside and we can go. I get 12 yards on 1st and 10. Move the chains. And then the next play, I think I did come back and I either ran smoke to the right-hand side or I ran flex stretch or I ran something over that way to keep them moving. Same here. That's the cornerback here. Yeah? That's the guy setting the edge. I've got all of my guys. Like this running back here hasn't actually got a block. He can't find a block. There's nobody there. I'm looking. I'm 10 yards down the field. I'm still looking for a block. A slot receiver's got 10 yards before anybody touches him. We get another 11. That's another first down play. So we're trying to find, is my numbers advantage over here? Right, I'm going to run outside. Is it here? I'm going to run outside. Do I know where my techniques are? I'm going to run inside. Is my coverage favourable on this side? Well, I'm gonna throw the ball over there with max protection and quick ball, nice and easy. And then finally, there's one thing that we do with this as well. So we've talked about how we take advantage of this this edge to try and run the ball outside, but we can also pass. So we run a bench concept with our flex and our tight end. Flex is just going to run a quick out. Tight end's going to run a 4-step corner. And what we're doing is we're picking on people. So I'm going to pick on this walk-up linebacker. I'm going to pick on this corner. Yeah. And for the quarterback, it's simple. If the corner goes, throw the tight end. If the corner drops, throw the flex. Yeah. Oops, Daisy. So this is the corner. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah. So this is the guy that we're watching. If he shoots down, throw the tight end. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong play. This is the one. Yeah. So if he shoots down, throw the tight end. If he bails, throw the flex. We watch here at the point he throws. He's in no man's land, but he is looking at the flex. So we now have the safety defending the tight end. And to be fair, the tight end makes a ridiculous catch because the QB overthrows it. But if the QB throws that in stride here as he should, it's a wide open play anyway, and we get the first down. He throws it over the shoulder. Tight end makes a ridiculous play, and we get a touchdown. But this is where we're. Go on.
Well, regardless of the catch, the rules are in place, right? So
absolutely.
So you can't knock the guy because he read it and he did what he was told. No, I like that aspect of it. If you put the rules in, if when or if then, you can't go wrong really. Because if it goes wrong, then basically it's your fault because he's doing what he's told to do. It's easy. I like
exactly. The way that we kind of approach it is we want to make them think the least that they can on the field, and the reason for that is they might not actually have seen 11-man football. They might not actually have been on the field with 21 other guys at the same time because they've either played 5-man or even 9-man. 9-man to 11 is a huge gap because there's, especially for quarterbacks, because there's way more guys in the box. So all we do is just drum these quick reads into guys and we say, right, see this, do that. Give this off. And they were like, oh, do we have RPOs? Do we have keep options? Like, nope. You just do what you're told to do. And we're going to do really well because you're good enough to do it. That's kind of where we have it across the board. We have receivers saying, oh, do I run choice routes? Or do I do this or this against that coverage? I'm like, nope. Just run your route, man. Because I'm going to call the play based on what I've seen on the field. So if I'm calling verts and we've got too high and the slot's being picked up by the safety, I've called the wrong play anyway. If we've got too high, I probably should be running the ball in the box because we've got a light box. So we put the guys in a good position, and that's where we kind of try to approach. So yeah, that's the GB offense.
What I was going to say is, to be honest, coach, I really like that. I really like the simplicity of it, and the fact that I think any up-and-coming offensive coordinator or wannabe offensive coordinator could watch that clinic and take away something that they could use tomorrow. The stuff that you've just done there that I use to this day now. The stuff that you've done there that you can, doesn't matter what offense you run, you can take it away, you can put it in your offense tomorrow, you can steal it and it will work. I love the simplicity, and I know you've shown this before, because obviously we're on the same staff. I've seen this playbook. I like what you've done with it, and I like the fact that you've really dumbed it down, but you've kept the aspects of football in there. So when these guys do go and play senior football, it's not going to be alien to them. Like you said, they're not going to get like a QB pass to the wide receiver and run with it. It's going to be actual football, and they're going to fit in and integrate just like the unit guys do when they come in senior football. And I actually really like that, coach.
That's it, because I think the thing that I'm always conscious of is it doesn't matter whether it's junior or senior. Like when from a rookie day, and you just get a dude who's watched the NFL and he's turned up, you've got a blank canvas. So what do you fill that canvas with? If you fill it with a Picasso, then all they know is good art. Yeah. If you fill it with an Andrew Morgan, then they're going to think like, no, like this dude can't draw. So if you put the right things in their head, then they're going to be able to do it, and that's all they're going to know. That's kind of like the way I approach it. And that way, if it's simple rules on the O-line, simple routes, simple progressions, it just embeds in the players what they're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely, coach. Absolutely. Well, honestly, that was absolutely fantastic.
No worries.
I did see your contact details on there, and I will put them in the description. But honestly, that was enlightening, and I think, well, I've definitely learned something, and I know that any young up-and-coming coach should take a watch of that and definitely do some scribbling on the notes for that, because that was some great content, coach. So again, I want to thank you wholeheartedly for taking the time and putting together that presentation for us. And I've said it already, but the idea of this project in total is not for clicks and views and likes. I'm not trying to blast out the things everywhere. I'm not interested in that. It's just that if one UK coach can watch one of these clinics and take it away, then I feel that we've done something during the quarantine that's helped us all out as a thing, you know. And I thank you for stepping up and you know, coming on board and helping out our UK.
No, absolutely.
I appreciate it, coach.
Anybody wants to hit me up or ask questions about it, more than happy to go into more depth of the other stuff that we have as well.
And are you open to visits for your GB stuff? Is that possible?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We actively encourage it. So when the camps start back up again next year, the process that we do is, what we're going to start doing, because obviously we were trying to find our feet as a staff as well, was we'll let people know, we'll invite them, we'll ask them to, like, not register, but just say, hey, this is me, I want to come down, so that we can attach them with a coach and make sure they get the most out of it as well. So yeah, there's GB practices are always an open door.
I would recommend. I know we've all done it, but I would recommend highly going to see another staff in action. You learn so much from it, and if you're a young and up and coming coach, you cannot go wrong by going and watching another staff. And like yourself, like myself, I always say my doors are always open, and that applies across the board for us at any place we're in. So again, thanks a lot, coach. I appreciate this, and thanks for your time, fella.
No worries. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.